The moment Isabella Reed slammed the penthouse door behind her, she knew her father would find out within minutes. Security cameras tracked every corner of their Manhattan high-rise, and her bodyguard, the insufferably vigilant Marcus Chen, would already be alerting the team. But she didn't care. At 23, she was suffocating under the weight of her father's fortune, drowning in a sea of designer, clothes, and empty cocktail parties, where people smiled at her inheritance, not her soul. She'd spent her entire life as the CEO's daughter, a title that felt more like a prison sentence than a privilege. Tonight she was running, not from danger, but toward something real, something that felt like living. The cold November air bit at her cheeks as Isabella rushed down Fifth Avenue, her breath creating small clouds in the darkness. She'd made it 3 blocks before she heard the footsteps behind her. Steady, unhurried, unmistakably his. Marcus never ran. He didn't need to. 6'3" with the patience of a saint and the instincts of a hawk, he'd been her shadow for 2 years, ever since the kidnapping threat started, pouring in after her father's. Company went public. "Miss Reed," his voice cut through the city noise, calm as still water. "It's 38 degrees and you're wearing a cocktail dress." Isabella spun around, her emerald eyes blazing. Don't you dare misread me right now, Marcus. I'm not going back to that gilded cage. I'm not spending another night pretending to care about stock portfolios and merger acquisitions while my father forgets I exist unless there's a photo. Opportunity. Something flickered across Marcus's face, not the professional mask he usually wore, but something deeper, more human. He shrugged off his jacket and held it out to her. "Then don't go back. But at least don't freeze while you're making your point." The gesture surprised her. Isabella stared at the jacket, then at Marcus, really looking at him for perhaps the first time. In 2 years, he'd been furniture, expensive, reliable furniture that followed her everywhere. She'd never wondered about the man beneath the suit, never asked why someone so obviously intelligent and capable had chosen a job that required him to trail a spoiled heiress through her meaningless routines. "Why do you do this?" she asked, taking the jacket. It smelled like cedar and something clean, utterly unlike the suffocating cologne that choked her father's business partners. "Follow me around, watch me waste my life?" Marcus's dark eyes held hers for a long moment. "You want the truth? Your father pays me to keep you safe, but I stay because you're not what everyone thinks you are. You volunteer at the Children's Hospital every Tuesday when you think no one's watching. You remember the names of every doorman, every server, every invisible person your father's friends look through like glass. You're searching for meaning in a world that's trying to convince you that meaning doesn't matter. That's not spoiled, Miss Reed, that's human." Isabella felt something crack open in her chest. "You knew about the hospital?" "I know everything. It's my job." He paused. "I also know you're planning to empty your trust fund and disappear. The airline confirmation in your email, the passport renewal, the searches for volunteer programs in Guatemala." Fear shot through her. "Are you going to tell him?" "That depends." Marcus started walking. Not back toward the penthouse, but forward, deeper into the city. After a moment's hesitation, Isabella followed. "What are you really running from? Because if it's your father's expectations, Guatemala won't be far enough. That follows you everywhere." They walked in silence for several blocks, the city pulsing around them with its own frantic heartbeat. Marcus led her to a small diner wedged between a laundromat and a bodega, the kind of place Isabella had passed 1,000 times without seeing. Inside, it was warm and bright, filled with the smell of coffee and pie. No one looked twice at them. "I come here on my nights off," Marcus said, sliding into a booth. "Best apple pie in Manhattan, and nobody cares who your father is." A waitress appeared, middle-aged, tired-eyed, but with a smile that reached all the way to her soul. "Marcus, haven't seen you in a while. The usual?" "2 slices, Jenny, thanks." As the waitress left, Isabella leaned forward. "You have nights off?" "Shocking, I know. Even bodyguards get to be human sometimes." His expression softened. "You asked why I do this job. I grew up in foster care, 6 different homes before I aged out at 18. No family, no safety net, just me against the world. I joined the military, did private security overseas, saw things that would give you nightmares. Then I came back and realized I was still searching for the same thing you are. Purpose. Protecting people gives me that, but not just from physical threats. Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't a kidnapper or a stalker. It's loneliness. It's feeling like you don't matter. Isabella's throat tightened. Is that what you think I feel? I think you're one of the loneliest people I've ever protected. And the tragedy is you're surrounded by people every day. The pie arrived, and for a while they ate in companionable silence. Isabella couldn't remember the last time she'd sat somewhere so ordinary, doing something so simple and felt so present. I don't want to run away, she finally admitted. I want to run toward something. I want to matter in a way that isn't measured by my last name or my father's bank account. But I don't know how to do that from inside his world. It's like trying to swim while someone's holding your head underwater. Marcus set down his fork. Then don't do it from inside his world. Create your own. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through something before turning it toward her. Remember 3 months ago when you mentioned wanting to start a foundation for foster youth? I took notes. Here's a rough framework: legal structure, funding models, program ideas. I have a friend who's a nonprofit lawyer, another who runs a mentorship program in Brooklyn. We could have a meeting next week. Isabella stared at the screen, her vision blurring with tears. You did this for me? With you, not for you. There's a difference. His voice was gentle but firm. You don't need permission to matter, Miss Reed. You just need to start. And you don't have to do it alone. Something shifted in that moment. Some fundamental rearrangement of Isabella's understanding of the world and her place in it. This man, who she'd dismissed as just another employee, had seen her more clearly than her own father ever had. He'd watched her not with judgment, but with recognition, understanding that her rebellion wasn't selfishness, but a desperate search for authenticity. Isabella, she said softly. My name is Isabella, and I don't want to run anymore. Marcus smiled, and it transformed his entire face. Good, because honestly, chasing you in this weather would have been really annoying. She laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. They spent hours in that diner, sketching out plans on napkins, Marcus sharing stories from his work with veteran support programs, Isabella describing her dreams of creating safe spaces for kids aging out of foster care. When they finally left, the city had transformed. It was still the same Manhattan, but Isabella saw it differently now, not as a cage, but as a canvas. Her phone buzzed incessantly as they walked back. 17 missed calls from her father, 32 texts from his assistant. Marcus glanced at her questioningly. I'll face him, Isabella said, but not as his wayward daughter who needs to be managed. As someone with a plan, a purpose, and an ally who believes in me. At the penthouse entrance, Marcus handed her a business card with a handwritten number on the back. My personal cell, for when you need a reminder that you're not alone in this. Isabella looked at the card, then at Marcus, understanding flooding through her. Kindness wasn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it was quiet observation, patient waiting, and showing up day after day for someone who didn't even know they needed it. Marcus hadn't just protected her body. He'd protected her humanity, her hope, even when she'd been ready to abandon both. Thank you, she whispered, for seeing me. Always have, he replied simply. As Isabella rode the elevator up to face her father and her future, she clutched the business card and the jacket that still smelled like cedar. She wasn't running anymore. She was finally, beautifully, standing still, grounded not by fear or obligation, but by purpose and connection. The CEO's daughter had become simply Isabella, and that made all the difference.